YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for November 7th through 13th. This week I read 3 books, I watched 4 shows, I watched 4 movies, and I listened to 1 book. You might be saying to yourself, that's not where you normally film, and you would be correct. I'm at an Airbnb very close to the one that I went to in the summer, actually. It's on the same property, owned by family. We're just here for the weekend. The first book this week was Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. This is about a man who's realized that he is dead and he's not very happy about it. He's taken to this location that's basically a way station where he meets all these other characters, some of them dead, some of them not, and is basically told that when he's ready he can pass through the Whispering Door. He tries to run away from this situation, but predictably it doesn't go the way he wants. The interesting thing about this location is it is a tea shop in a very small town in the middle of nowhere, and he really likes the look of the guy that runs it. This was the right amount of macabre and whimsy for me. I really enjoyed that he got to know himself and the other characters and realized that he was not the nicest person when he was alive. I like the mixtures of serious topics and discussing the afterworld and what happens after we pass, with these very lighthearted moments of will they, won't they actually can't because one of them is alive and one of them isn't. Next we have The Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Danan, which is the follow-up to The Roommate. This is a companion sequel and follows Naomi from the first book. Now that her business has been up and running for a while and it's going really well, she wants to transition into doing live lecturing. However, she's having a very hard time finding somebody that is going to hire her for that. The world of academia just looks down on her because she's a previous adult performer who is fairly well known, which is incredibly frustrating because obviously she has all of this knowledge that she can pass on. She's at a conference trying to network when this very hot guy asks if she will come and lecture at his synagogue. She's had kind of a rough go with churches and synagogues and religion and all that type of thing in the past, so she's very easily thinking about just brushing this off because she doesn't think that she's going to be accepted there. However, he's insistent that he wants to put on this modern intimacy lecture series as a way to get more people to come to his synagogue. And then of course they're both hot, so I'm sure you know where it goes from there, especially if you read the first book in this companion series. I really love this series. It's about consent and boundaries and sexy times, and it's really a joy to read because everybody has to be really into the moment and the characters really know that if something is going wrong, they just stop, and that's completely fine. This of course also has to do with the social aspects of a previous adult performer dating a rabbi and what that looks like and how other people think that's somehow their business. The other thing I read this week is That Full Moon Feeling. This is a very short graphic novel about a witch and a werewolf just going on their first 3 dates and the disastrous things that happen around them as they're doing that. It's short and quick and very quirky, and each of them have pets that they talk to or roommates that harass them, which is really fun, and then all of these shenanigans that go on while these girls are just trying to get to know each other. It's quick, adorable, and a really fun time. This week we watched a few episodes of What If. I don't even know which episodes because we kind of skipped around. You can watch them in any order you want because for the most part it's all self-contained, although there are a couple of callbacks to previous things. They're basically all just thought experiments, being like, what if there were zombies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or that type of thing. I did note, however, that they must have recorded the voice work for this a long time ago because Chadwick Boseman reprised his role as T'Challa and he has since passed on, so it was nice to hear him again. We were all kind of sitting around not knowing really what we wanted to watch. We just wanted something kind of funny, and we ended up starting up the 1991 show Home Improvement from the beginning. This is a show where I've probably seen most, if not all, of the episodes when it originally aired on cable, and you know, when it had reruns and when people would actually watch TV on cable. I don't do that anymore. I haven't had cable in years. But it was really fun to go back to because I remembered a bunch of these different situations from the first few episodes of the first season. The dynamics in this family are just wonderful. People mess up, people make up for it. It is a really fun time. This week I also stayed current on RuPaul's Drag Race UK as well as Canada's Drag Race. As for the UK, we're down to the final 4 and they did an acting challenge that took place in space, one of those very hokey scripts that they do. And there were actually a few good lines in there and it looked like they had a lot of fun making it. As for Canada's Drag Race, this week they split into 2 teams where they produced country songs to one of the newest bops for the franchise and had to do their own lyrics, all of that type of thing, and the guest star was Biff Naked, so that must have been very cool to work with her. It's always interesting to me because I can usually remember what episode it was for the week and what the challenge was, but I won't necessarily remember who did very well and who went home until I watched the recap before the next episode. That is 100% a me thing. On to the movies I watched this week, the first one being The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which is a follow-up to The Hitman's Bodyguard. This is a movie franchise that has Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and Salma Hayek, and it is very, very entertaining. Essentially all you really need to know about these movies is there was this guy that was a bodyguard, he was AAA rated, and then he lost his licensing and he's trying to get it back, and that's coming with some complications. This had some delightful twists and turns, and with a main cast like that, honestly, they could do anything and I would watch it. This week we also watched Finch. This is a movie that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. There are only 4 named characters and only one of them is human, and that is played by Tom Hanks. And it's essentially this guy just trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic world with his best friend and a couple of robots, and for reasons they end up going on a road trip together. It was very entertaining but also very, very sad. As a throwback, we also watched Double Jeopardy this week as just something to toss on the TV before we went to bed and something to watch, and honestly I should see if Legia Miller has a video about this movie because I would love to know the actual logistics behind Double Jeopardy. If you've never heard of it before, the basic plot is this woman is convicted of killing her husband and then comes to realize that he didn't actually die. She knows she didn't kill him, but it was some weird, mysterious circumstances. And then while she's in prison, somebody tells her that, hey, you can try to get out and appeal and that type of stuff. That's not going to happen. I used to be a lawyer, and I can tell you that there's this thing called Double Jeopardy. They cannot try you for killing him again, so you might as well do your time, put your head down, get out, find him, and then kill him because you've already been convicted and they can't put you in jail for it again. That's all well and good, but then I wonder about all the other crimes she commits on the way to tracking down her husband to ultimately find her son. She doesn't really care about her husband, she wants to find her son. And then, since we've been watching Ashley Judd for like half a movie and she's fantastic, then Tommy Lee Jones shows up as basically her parole officer, and for some reason he got top bill on this movie, which rubs me the wrong way because he only shows up halfway through. He's great, don't get me wrong, but it was just weird that he got top billing. The final movie I watched this week was Red Notice. I just saw the cast was Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson, and I said, yeah, let's watch whatever this is, I don't care, I want to watch it. In this one, Ryan Reynolds plays a thief. He is a very high-class thief. He has stolen many things in the past. He's kind of known as the world's second best thief, and he has this rivalry with this person named Bishop, who he hasn't necessarily met, but is also a high-class art and antiquities thief. And what this adventure comes down to is there are 3 eggs that were given to Cleopatra. 2 of them people know where they are, but one of them has been lost for a very long time. Whoever can buy all 3 of them and then take them to this one guy whose daughter, whose name is also Cleopatra, is getting married, will get $300 million, I think the price tag is, but you have to have all 3 of them, winner take all type of thing. Unfortunately for Ryan Reynolds' character, the FBI has a BAU member on the case, who's played by Dwayne Johnson, and he has tracked him down. However, from there we get some flip-flopping, some double-crossing, some people having to work together that you wouldn't think would have to work together, and just a very fun adventure where people are crossing the globe to try to find these artifacts so they can get this very good amount of money. This is very entertaining, and it left itself open for a potential sequel, and I would definitely watch that sequel if it happened. The audiobook I listened to this week was The Taking of Jake Livingston. This is about a boy named Jake who is high school aged and a medium, so he constantly sees and hears people from beyond the veil, from Dead World as he calls it. This usually tops out at being a mild annoyance, but then somebody down his block gets murdered, and then it looks like somebody has broken into his house, but he's pretty sure that it's a ghost. This ghost, whose diary from when he was alive we actually see snippets of, was a school shooter about a year previous and has been building up power because he still has more people he wants to kill. There are aspects of this that I was initially very conflicted over because it seemed like it was humanizing this person who murdered a bunch of people for no reason. Because you personally being depressed and not having a great life doesn't mean you should just go murder a bunch of your classmates. That's not how that works. However, by the end I felt this book walked the very fine line of giving us enough humanizing details that it actually just fleshed out the character without us thinking that maybe what he did was justified. It never gave me that assumption. It just gave me this was a damaged person, that they did terrible things, and they are the bad guy. They are continuing to do terrible things and they need to be stopped. I also enjoyed that there were parallels between Jake and Sawyer's lives. On the outside they are very, very different, but they do have some things in common. And then seeing the potential for Sawyer to take over Jake and completely ruin his life as well was just very difficult to see and made for a very interesting book. Obviously, this is a book full of a bunch of different sensitive topics, so if you have any triggers, I would definitely look up the trigger warnings for this book before going into it. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that is down below, as well as the link to my PayPal and my Amazon wishlist in case you would like to buy me a book. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!